Well, welcome Rotarians. I don't know if everyone can hear. Not on? Okay. Welcome everyone. It looks like a great group. We appreciate our host, the Dexter Company, having us out here to learn a little bit about Fairfield's largest employer and a 100-year business. We're going to start with Al Arrett, Chairman and CEO of Dexter Company. Take it away, Al.
Is this thing working or not? Or should I?
Just for us.
Just raise, oh, okay. Thanks, Dave.
Talk like you do to us, Al.
All right. Well, you asked for it. You asked for it. I'd like to officially welcome the Fairfield Rotary Club and FPAC to the Dexter Company Laundry Operations. The Dexter Company, for those of you that aren't acquainted with us, currently consists of some unique operating units, beginning with our laundry operations in this building, which manufactures and sells, can everyone hear me? Front-loading commercial washers and dryers to primarily laundromat owners across the world. Our second operation is about a half-mile east of us, is our foundry operation. It manufactures and sells gray and ductile iron castings on an OEM basis to customers across the United States. Dexter Financial Services has been with us about 3 years. It's housed in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and its purpose is to finance our laundry equipment to laundromat owners across the United States of America. And we have one small segment of our company that we have a lot of pride in. It's Easy Wash Laundry uptown at 4th and Burlington. Its role is to provide laundry solutions for Fairfield people. It is also a test site for the many new models of washers and dryers that we are continually producing. I'm going to do a little history of the overall Dexter Company and then let Pat get to some more details about this particular operation. The Dexter Company was founded in Dexter, Iowa in 1894. And its original product, and I may have a guy in the front row here, Stu Gomer, that knows this history better than I did, but its original product was a threshing machine. The company relocated to Fairfield in 1904, and from the 1920s to the 1940s was best known as a wringer washer manufacturer. And a lot of the engineers, I'm told, back in those days were the guys that come up with the original patents on the instinctive wringer washer, so that when you ran your fingers into the wringer, it popped up instead of rolling your hand into the washing machine. In the 1950s, Philco Bendix purchased this plant, and that's really when we introduced the commercial laundry line as we know it today. In the 1960s, Philco was purchased by Ford Motor Company. And after about 10 years with Ford Motor Company, Henry Ford got up one day and said, "What am I doing manufacturing washing machines? I make automobiles." So Ford Motor at that time decided that they wanted to, in effect, unload this operation, and the easiest method for them to do that was just to liquidate the plant. So it was a critical time in the history of this company. And in response to Ford Motors' position, Harry Munn and Mr. Stu Gomer, who was my mentor in this company, and about 10 other employees, put together a plan to purchase the company from Ford Motor. And that happened 1970 to 1972. So in effect, the current Dexter Company that we recognize today came into existence in 1972. As the company grew and prospered, those original shareholders in the mid-1980s decided that they needed a plan for transition of the company from the then current ownership. One thing that the shareholders wanted at that time, they were adamant about, was that the ongoing company be ran by local people and maintain local control. thanks to two people in this audience today, their leadership, Stu Gomer, Bob Austin, who were both members of our board of directors in that era, we came to the conclusion that employee ownership should be that vehicle. And I'm proud to say that since 1998, this company has been 100% employee owned by the members of our salary group. Every product that you all saw as you came in our lobby out here was designed and manufactured by employees in Fairfield, Iowa. We're real proud of that. I'd like to kind of conclude my part of this program by kind of giving you some people statistics about our company. Laundry operations in this building has both direct and allocated people in the amount of 217 hourly and salary folks. Our foundry operation down the street has 269 employees, and our Cedar Rapids operation has 20 total employees, so right now we're at 506 total employees. The total economic impact of the payroll for these 506 employees in 2003 was $20.2 million that we injected into the Fairfield economy, which is no small number. As I say, that was in my closing. I'd like to now turn the podium over to Mr. Pat Sullivan, our Vice President of Laundry Operations, to tell you more in detail about this particular part of our operations. Thank you.
Just before you do the tour.
Okay, just before the tour, that's fine. Well, good afternoon and welcome, fellow Rotarians, and especially Mr. Gomer as well, who's not only our former chairman of the board of Dexter, but also a retired Rotarian as well. So you fit in very nicely, Stu, and we're really glad you could make it today. He was about 32 years ago this year in March, I think, Stu, you said you gave the new Dexter Company presentation to the Rotary Group over at the club. So we're very near that 32nd anniversary, and there's a lot of water under the dam, as they say, Stu. Since most of it good. Well, as Al said, I think many of you know my responsibility at Dexter Company, kind of in a nutshell, is I'm VP of Laundry Operations, and I'm sort of held accountable, at least certain body parts are, to make sure that our team in laundry operations meets our goals. And that includes the design and engineering and purchasing, production and marketing of Dexter commercial laundry equipment worldwide. There's some department heads, this obviously isn't a one-man job, there's some department heads I'd just like to recognize that I work with as a team daily, and they do a terrific job for us. Some of them whom you know, but Jim Billingsley, can you just step in the door? He's the Director of Engineering. And Gary Sparks, Manager of Purchasing and Material Control. Doug Keel, Manager of Laundry Manufacturing. We got Joe Doherty, who's Manager of Quality Control. And certainly, last but not least, is our fellow Rotarian, Andy Kretz. And Andy's Director of Laundry Sales and Marketing, and he's going to do most of the program that we have here today. You also have met, I think, as you came in here, several additional supervisory and key staff members that we have on our laundry team, and they'll be taking you on a tour of our factory. Just a few minutes, actually, that will happen. It's important that you know, as Al said, there's 216 laundry employees that we have in this operation, and every one of them is really a member of our team, and we work that way on a daily basis. They've all played a role, frankly, in the dramatic success and revival of Dexter laundry operations that we've enjoyed over the last 15 years. Excuse me. Frankly, we dominate certain segments of the commercial laundry industry today. There's actually 3 different segments, and I'll try to paint a little broad picture for you before Andy takes over. There's what we call a multi-family housing segment, which is route operators. They put coin-operated washers and dryers into apartment buildings, mostly in large metro areas. It's a highly competitive business. They usually use converted domestic washers and dryers. Not much money in it. We're not very interested in that business, at least at this point in time. But there are 10 to 12 million units of those kind of products that are scattered around the United States. There's another segment called on-premise laundry segment, and that's basically any kind of facility that requires some commercial quality on-premise laundries. So there's a hospitality industry, which would be hotels, motels, clubs, restaurants, those types of installations. We're involved in that with about 15% of our laundry business, but that's a market potential that we're looking forward to getting more of. Then there's a third segment, which is a self-service laundry or laundromat business. That is where we dominate. We've moved in probably the last 10 years from a number 6 or 7 position in the industry to number 1 with the Dexter brand name. And we have about 25% market share nowadays, so we're having a lot of fun taking some market share from our competitors mainly. Talking about some local companies that have Dexter equipment in it, the Super 8, Best Western, Economy Motel, I think it's called these days. Parkview Nursing Home and Nelson Nursing is another example. Parkview has, it's going to be kind of interesting when you walk around the plant. You're going to see some of our guys mention an 18-pound washer. Remember, when you're talking about an 18-pound commercial washer, it's not the same as somebody selling you an 18-pound domestic washer. As an example, there's an 18-pound washer we have over at Parkview Nursing Home. It's been in operation, I think, 12 years now. And that washer has done 61,000 cycles. That's the equivalent of a home laundry use of about 112 years, I think, by calculation. And the only parts that have been replaced in that washer to date are a couple of water valves and a couple of belts. That's it. So there's a big difference when we talk about commercial, industrial versus domestic washers. Laundromats actually started in this industry about 60 years ago. And the first ones that were introduced, actually Dexter had a little something to do with part of that, because years ago we used to make wringer washers. The first laundromats were wringer washers, and they took what we called a markdown timer, which was a little timing device that would accept a nickel. And they hooked it up to a power cord. And then they charged you 5 cents for an hour's worth of electricity to operate the wringer washer. Those were the first laundromats. So fortunately, we've come a long way since then. On a wholesale level, commercial laundry business is about $600 million a year, so it's not huge, but still fairly attractive. On a retail level, the commercial laundry business is $5 million a year. So it's a little bit more appealing. Bank of America, as a matter of fact, rates coin-operated laundries as one of the top 10 small business investments in the country. One of the good things that we know about the laundry business, commercial laundry, is that washing clothes is something that's a necessity of life. Just like food and shelter. I mean, even Sue Book has to wash clothes. By the way, Sue got a new Dexter washer today. She's been bugging me about one for several years. There you go. On a more serious level, we do have some Dexter pens for everybody to enjoy on the way out. So 34 years ago, just about, I guess it is, I got in this business, and we didn't think much about appearance as far as laundromats. And some of the old laundries that you see around were kind of hole-in-the-wall places, and they used to just call them wash houses. Well, things have changed, and competition has really geared up, and Annie's going to tell you about how we compete against those competitors, but I'll give you a little idea about the kind of laundromats that we build today. It's not unusual for an investor to spend $1 million to build a laundry. That does not include brick and mortar. 9,000 square foot laundries are being built in the United States with over 100 machines in these laundries. Some of those laundry locations gross between $55,000 and $60,000 a month. So we've come a long way from the 2 washes a day kind of wringer washer business. Now it's time for Andy to share with you how Dexter fits into this picture. Andy?
Thank you. Thanks, Pat. All right, this is why we all gave you safety glasses, because the sales guy's going to talk now. No, that's not true. As Director of Sales Marketing at Dexter, I constantly get asked the question, who buys commercial laundry equipment? I know Pat touched on that a little bit, but that question to me is best answered by, it's really everywhere you look. It's everyone wears clothes. The hospitals and all use linens, and hotels use linens and towels, and athletic teams wear uniforms. It's around us wherever we look. The Dexter Company breaks those two markets that Pat alluded to, the commercial market and then the industrial market. We break those into two segments, really defined by, one, you pay to start the machine, and the other is you push to start it, just like you would in your home. As Pat alluded to, our bread and butter is the commercial side of that business right now. Those 30,000 some laundries that are out there in the United States provide a great opportunity for us because it's such a large installed base of commercial laundry equipment. In a given year, in addition to the replacement market, there's also a number of new Dexter laundries built every year. Ground up, retools, taking an old place, gutting that facility and starting over with fresh equipment, much like we did downtown here. We sell our equipment on an international basis, only through authorized Dexter distributors. There's approximately 100 of those today. Kathy's back there saying there's 87 or something. No. But about 100 distributors. These businesses focus on bringing complete laundries to fruition. So there's more than just the equipment that goes into the laundry. They need to be built by local code. Our machines require professional installation. Preventative maintenance, and then from a service side, they need, this equipment is mission critical. So it needs a local presence there to be able to not only do the preventative stuff, but any emergency services that come up. Why has Dexter grown? That's another question that I get a lot more locally than we do, our brand internationally. But really, we've worked hard, and engineering and everybody else who Pat mentioned has worked hard to build the highest performing, proven designs at a fair price. I know that sounds really simple to do, but as far as performance, we've grown over the years to, versus our competitors. It's clear now that we lead the industry in product longevity, which is a big deal because our stuff isn't inexpensive. So you have to show a value for the purchase price. But product longevity, no question. Electrical efficiency, we build machines that, and some of our machines are 40% more electrical efficient than our competitors. So that all adds up every cycle. The owner gets the benefit of that efficiency. Water conservation, Energy Star, CEE. I can think of a few others where actually government agencies have rewarded us and our customers with rebates because our machines are so efficient. That's led to our growth. Extraction speed. That's a big deal in processing laundry because the more water that load holds at the end of the cycle requires that much more drying energy. So if you extract or spin that water out of a load, it takes less gas or less electricity or less steam to dry. That's a big deal. Programming flexibility. Does anyone have a Palm Pilot? You can actually use a Palm Pilot now with the software that we sell to program your washer. So basically, you walk up to the front of a Dexter washer, hold your palm there, download the cycle information into your palm, change it, and upload it back into the machine. Really cool stuff. Really cool. And no one else in the industry's got that. And I think so. There is some technology that's going on right here in Fairfield, Iowa. That's pretty impressive. Al talked about our internal finance program. That's a big deal for us and a good competitive advantage. Overall, we've positioned the company to be the biggest bang for the buck in our industry, which for our sales team is a fantastic place to be. So it should be noted too that the sales, from a sales perspective and a marketing perspective, it's important that our company is located here in Fairfield. It's important that every product that we build with the Dexter brand on it is engineered, manufactured, and then sold out of Fairfield. Our competitors are wrangling with now trying to bring products in from Europe and then put their name on them. You know, if anybody watches the currency fluctuation, they're going to be at an incredible disadvantage this year trying to market equipment here. It's obviously very important. From a quality perspective, actually having the guys who manufacture our machines here is very important to us too, because we can control our own destiny, so to speak. So we do have some competitors, and you know, Dexter isn't flying under the radar anymore in our industry. So all the you know, the incremental sales that we get from this point are coming out of someone else's hide. And there's, quite frankly, competitors who are going to be pretty fierce about losing any more business. So we compete against international appliance companies, really big ones like Electrolux. You may have heard of them. You may have heard of a company in Newton called Maytag. We pound heads with them pretty well. But you know, that's a good example too. We differentiate ourselves because we build all of our own stuff, and most of our competitors are not in that situation. So there's some economic trends too, and then I'll let you that I just want all of us to realize, because it's probably affecting your businesses too, and then I'll let you take off in the factory and actually see some stuff, which is exciting. But population growth obviously helps us. More people, more clothes. Hispanic growth. You know, the Hispanic market is now the largest minority market here in the United States. They're also the #1 laundry customer because they tend to have more, you know, larger families, more kids, produce more laundry. So they visit laundromats quite a bit more than other demographics. Low interest rates obviously affect our business and people's ability to invest in coin laundries. Tax incentives that we have, like accelerated depreciation, all have helped our business. Also, the stock market decline. I know we're on the good side of that right now, but the stock market decline since like '99, 2000 really made people focus more on neighborhood types of businesses. How can I, you know, how is there something I can do that's lower tech that I understand? Can I invest in those types of businesses? And that's really it's been to our benefit. So, does anyone have questions about anything I didn't cover or mention?
What would you want to customize with your Home Pilot?
Specific fabrics and linens, or depending on how dirty, you know, the laundry might be. You want to change the number of times that, like the number of wash cycles, the number of spins, the time, the overall cycle time, those kinds of things. You may wash a horse blanket a little more rough than you would linen or high quality sheets in a hospital. So.
You mentioned the finance assistance as a new development, relatively new. Have you ever thought of doing anything further, like establishing franchises or getting further into the end market?
Yeah, we have, but we also don't want to bite that hand that feeds us. You know, the existing store market out there is a big deal to us. So we don't want to be viewed as competing against that installed base. Other people have tried it. Some of the challenges in franchising Acoin Laundry is really the regional and operational challenges that come. You know, that's why there's not a McDonald's of coin laundries, because it's hard to get economies of scale as far as water consumption, because you're spread across so many different places. Economies of scale with locations. You know, it's difficult too, because you're dealing with so many different strip malls, as an example, or locations. It's really hard to get an economies of scale going. So, but never say never. I mean, it could be a possibility. So, yeah.
Somebody came up to you and said, just a person sell me a washer, would you do it?
No, we don't. We would most certainly, give them our local distributor that could.
But I mean, you will sell to a consumer.
To homes? Sure. Yeah, we have quite a few machines. We actually build a stack washer dryer that's been popular in higher end homes. If you have an extra $7,400, we'd be happy to install one at your house too.
I do 75,000 washes a week, so it sounds like
Yeah, definitely.
It'll last for 112 years too,
Yeah. But it's that's a very good point. That could be a future market for us. The amount of time I know that our family spends doing laundry could be cut in, it could be 1/10 of the time. That stack washer dryer will do 3 loads of laundry, big loads, and dry it in less than an hour. So, we think of that in your own home.
Got a short laundry story.
Okay.
My family started out selling Maytag washers. Back in the 30s, they switched to Dexter because the Briggs & Stratton gas engine was more reliable and easier to start.
They operate a little differently today, but one of the other major trends that's really helping us too is coin laundries are going away from the machines that are like home, and they're going into the more commercial types of equipment. So the equipment in those businesses is truly viewed as an investment, and like I said, we're positioned well to be the biggest bang for the buck. So, yes, sir.
How long before you'll need to run up your quarters anymore and just put your basic?
Well, you're like a plant. Actually, one of the we build washers, we build dryers, but we also build a system called EasyCard, and EasyCard is run in both laundries here in town. Basically, it's a rechargeable card where you add value to that card, and then you use the card in the machines instead of quarters. And that's a big deal as the machines get bigger and larger and larger and larger. You don't want to put $10 worth of quarters in the machine. So it's really fantastic, and you can change all the pricing in that system. You can change all the pricing per machine from home. If you have internet access, you can run your business. So it's really cool stuff. Thanks for mentioning that, by the way. Thanks.
We've got some team leaders out here, group leaders that are going to take a few of you at a time, probably 5 or 6, and then run you through the plant. There's about 7 or 8 different substations or workstations that we'd like you to see in particular. And it's a little better if we keep a smaller group. It's safer and a little more cozy, and I think you'll be able to hear what they're talking about. I think President Dave has an announcement before we do that, but just real quickly, when you follow the group leaders, you're going to start out on the west end of the building, and that's where we bring in a lot of our raw stock or materials. So you'll see big piles of stainless steel sheets and some other materials out there, and then from there you'll see a machine shop where we machine parts, and then you'll see a press shop where we actually punch holes in parts or we form parts in the different types of configurations. Then you're going to see a really neat product that's a laser cutter that we have, and it's really fantastic. It's a super piece of equipment. You'll see some huge presses. We have presses as large as 750-ton capacity out there, and then you'll see a robotic welder in another welding area. One of the claims to fame that we have at Dexter is that people say we're built like a battleship. And that's important for us in the commercial laundry industry. We don't use things like stamped steel and pop rivets that work loose and start rattling and shake apart. So we're pretty proud of that. Then you'll also see some environmentally friendly installations that we've done here. Some by requirement and some by choice. It makes us more efficient, it gives us a better quality product, and it makes us better neighbors as well for the community. And then they're going to take you into the final dryer and washer assembly, and then they'll scoot you back out by your coats. They'll take your safety glasses back, and they'll say goodbye to you. So have a great weekend. Dave?
Well, thanks, Pat, and thanks again to the Dexter Company for this great insight into such a impressive business. We'd also like to thank FPAC today for helping show not only what Rotary does and the kind of things that we explore, but also, Susan, if you'd like to help me, you have been involved in this since day one. It's the Civic Center final drive, tirelessly working, 7 or 8 years? And we're getting so close to the end. And this club, your club, agreed to give $5,000 to the building fund about a month ago, and then started trying to figure out if every other service club would do the same. We heard as of today the Lions are on board, and we hope to pick up several more. So that's the announcement. And again, I think it's terrific that Dexter is doing all this stuff in Fairfield when so many people go offshore. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of productivity keeps them right here.
You think
Thanks,
we should
Pat.
have Samuelson pass these out?
Yeah.
Donnie, you're the guy that made all the money in the life marketing, so
Okay, here,
why don't you pass this out to people at the door? I beg your pardon.
Yeah, you don't want to buy a Ford, but I guess we're just using it.
And you'll see more on.
This is our latest purchase CNN or during the sophomore programming, and you'll be getting some people training. So in terms of accuracy, fired up, went through a cycle, the whole checklist.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. We're back. The Rotary is out taking their tour, and we're here, and we're going to discuss some other things about Dexter. First of all, I'd like to say I was very impressed with the information you told about Dexter, and very proud that we have you in our community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan.
Al, tell us some other things. You're very involved in the community.
Yeah, I guess first I'd say that at the individual level, we have a lot of employees that are involved, like Pat is with Rotary social clubs. We have people that are active, like with the school board and their children. These are the types of things we think are needed in a community from a company that's in a leadership position. To that extent, also from more of a company level, I think you're aware we've made a substantial commitment to the Civic Center in the future. When we built the new library, Dexter was one of the largest contributors to see that that came to fruition. We've made a commitment, a long-term commitment to the Soccer Association just west of here with the ground that we provided to them, and we think we're going to see kids out there running around next year.
That's
kicking
very
soccer balls.
exciting to see that come about.
So that's off the top of my head. Would you have anything to add to that, Pat?
Yeah, I think we've been involved in the Fairfield Manufacturing Association for years, and actually a local and then also a state level with the Iowa Business Association. We're involved in FEDA and helping to attract new manufacturing and other industry to the Fairfield community as well. This is our home too, Susan, and so we try to do what we can to make the community as enjoyable, as pleasant as we can, so we can attract employees ourselves.
And you're doing a wonderful job of that. Dexter is very involved in our community. What are some of the skills that you look for when you're looking for personnel?
I think, as you're aware, we participated in the recent job fair here in Fairfield, and we were really amazed at the turnout and interested people in Fairfield and especially in Dexter. But we run the gamut in Dexter. Certainly in laundry operations, we need people with manufacturing skills, and that includes machinists. We have a press shop. We need welders. We have common labor, and we have skilled labor at many different levels. We have assembly line workers. About 40% of the work that we do with our hourly folks is on an incentive basis. So even though they may start in the company just a little shy of $12 an hour with incentives, many of our people will make in between $16 and $18 an hour, which is not a bad hourly wage. That doesn't include benefits as well. So we have many different skill levels that are required in the office side of it. We have accountants, we have marketing people, sales people, service people, clerical people, human relations people, or resource people. So pretty much what you see in an industry, we require those kind of skills in this company. And Al can speak to the foundry operation as well, with some special skills that are required in foundry.
And tell us about those.
I think a lot of people would typically think of a foundry as a low-tech type operation, but our foundry, I think, is like other foundries that are surviving in that business. It gets to be a very high-tech. It's computerized. All of our equipment is computerized and controlled, and it takes a pretty knowledgeable workforce, very computer literate, to make that information work. And in addition to that, the foundry has some specific, very close to the foundry industry, like metallurgy type skills. Some of these we can take people that have that knowledge and train other people who come to work for us in the business, but it's definitely a long ways from low tech.
I think when we do the tour in a little while, they're going to be very impressed. It's amazing the things that are being done nowadays. I'm just totally impressed on all of that. The factory and equipment, tell us some of that.
Well, I think as Pat said earlier during his presentation to Rotary, a lot of people are amazed when they come into our laundry operation at what a complete manufacturing operation it is. And as you go through our plant, I would suggest that they're probably, we have about the same things that you'd see in most world-class manufacturing plants in terms of 750-ton presses that are hydraulic that can help you do deep draw on the types of things. The Bystronic laser out there is truly cutting-edge technology, and for us it's very important when you handle stainless steel operations. There are issues with working with stainless steel that you don't find with other types of metals. The laser allows us to do some things like removing sharp edges that you can't do with mechanical type operations. It's also something that in our manufacturing operation, we need to run many components in the same relation to each other. So if it takes 10 of one part, you need 10 of another. With our Bystronic laser, we can nest those together so that for every sheet of metal that you use, you're going to get 10 of each of those pieces, so you stay in balance, which is kind of an art in a manufacturing operation.
What about some of the future products looking ahead?
Well, we're always searching for new products. As a matter of fact, we routinely introduce at least 2 new products per year, Susan, into the marketplace. And even though it's not a huge industry, it's a stable industry that's been around for 75 years, and it's one that we continue to grow 50% larger than the market does, our competitors. So we know there's still some opportunities out there if we're clever enough and good enough to build something that people want. Just some recent products that we've introduced that have been highly successful for us would be a commercial-sized stack washer dryer. We've also introduced a 75-pound washer, which is our first venture into larger equipment. And some of the plant equipment that Al mentioned, the 750-ton press and Bystronic laser, much of the manufacturing fabrication that we do for products like that, we can do with that larger equipment. So even though our hourly guys may not be looking forward to it, we're actually anticipating expanding to even larger capacity washers and dryers than what we manufacture today.
That is wonderful. Something I noticed too, and just the other day when we took a quick little peek at things, is that you're very safety conscious.
Yes, I think that is something that not only for a laundry operation but a foundry operation. The fact is, manufacturing, whatever nature it is by design a dangerous situation. So any manufacturer has to be very, very aware of safety issues. A lot of safety issues we can build into the design of our presses, light curtains where employees can't get their hands in where they shouldn't be, things like that. But the reality is, at the end of the day, from me and Pat and our VP of our foundry operations down, safety has to come from the top down, and our employees have to. We work daily, weekly, and monthly to make them aware of hazardous situations, to make them aware that if they sense they're in a dangerous situation, to stop and point it out to somebody. And I'd like to say that our safety record has been improving for the last several years, and we intend to push it down. And the last thing I want at the Dexter Company is have one of my people get hurt.
Right. You care a lot about your employees and the community, and it shows. Also, it shows because of your environmental safety features that you have, and tell us about some of those.
Well, Susan, one of the things that we want to be, after all, we live in this community as well. So we want our family to be safe and in a nice environment. And many of the treatments that we do in our plant, including water purification and filtration, are important to us and the community. It also makes us a better manufacturer and more efficient in how we run our operations. Some changes we've made in recent years besides water and filtration is we have an environmentally friendly paint system where we don't have any more paint residue that used to be around, or solvents that were volatile when we use solvent paints. We now use a powder paint process, which some of our people are going to show you today, and it's a fascinating process to watch.
It definitely is. I saw that the other day, and I'm going to have to look again and see if I can figure that out. So we're here talking about Dexter in Fairfield, a company that you said has been here how many years?
The company relocated to Fairfield in 1904.
1904. Has went through a lot of changes.
Yes. As I said to the Rotary Company, Dexter was probably first originally known as a manufacturer of wringer washers. You know, the first year after World War II, we sold over 400,000 wringer washers out of this plant. So we weren't small time in that endeavor. The interesting thing back in those days is our foundry operation was a completely captive operation, making only the gray iron components that went into wringer washers. And in the 50s, as the laundry operation became more oriented towards commercial laundry and the requirement for gray iron went down in its components, then our foundry by need became a true jobbing shop, which is what it is today.
And it did start in Dexter, Iowa.
Yes.
And that's the reason for the name. But also, what's the horse? I always see the horse. Was there a famous racehorse?
Yes, there was a famous racehorse called Dexter, actually, and he was a silky horse. And he was one of the champion horses, and some years ago the company decided that was a nice connection to make with our new introduction of a full line of stainless steel washers, and we labeled them as a thoroughbred line of washers. So they're big and strong and beautiful and fast. Which
Definitely.
Is what we hope Dexter Company is all about, Susan.
Yes. And are there any other things that you would like to share with the community going on here in town? I had a note here about the position in the CL industry.
Commercial laundry industry. Well,
Okay.
you know, we, as we mentioned earlier, Al and I, and to the Rotarians, is we obviously, as a manufacturer, one of the things that happens with a manufacturer in a community is it's a long-term commitment. As you can see by the brick and mortar and all the large machinery that we have committed to this plant, it's not easy for a manufacturer to get tired of a town and just pick up and leave. We're here in the long term, and obviously we've been here over 100 years already, and we plan on staying a while yet, Susan. So we like to do things that will attract good things to the Fairfield community, including future employees. One of the ways we think we can help is to get the Civic Center done. And as you know, Al mentioned, we've been involved in some other projects like the library and et cetera, but we think the Civic Center is a good investment for all Fairfielders. And we've seen from other communities that having that type of center attracts new people to the community. So we're looking forward to working with you and completing the goal.
Thank you very much for that nice little plug, and it's very nice that you have contributed along with to the many other things in Fairfield that you do contribute to and support. I just want to thank you from the community for being in Fairfield, for providing all the jobs that you do, which the number you said also earlier was around 500?
506.
506. That's a lot. I don't think that we can thank you enough for what you do.
Thank you.
And I think we need to look at some things out downstairs. What do we do from here?
Well, would you like to have a look at how we engineer and design some of our products, and then actually how we manufacture them as well?
I think the community would like to see that.
Well, I think I've got two gentlemen over here that can help you with that, Susan.
Okay,
Doug
thanks.
Keel is the manager of manufacturing, and Jim Billingsley is the director of engineering for the Dexter Company Laundry Operations.
I think we'll go downstairs and meet these two gentlemen and take a tour. Welcome. You're going to get a special look on the inside of Dexter. And Doug Keel, tell me your position.
I'm the plant manager over laundry manufacturing.
And Jim Billingsley, your position is?
I'm Director of Engineering and of Quality Assurance.
Okay, so these two gentlemen are going to take us on a tour, and we're starting here kind of at a beginning place. And what are we seeing behind us?
Behind us you can see all our raw material comes in this door here. We have bar stock, angle iron, tubing, and then over on this side here we have our sheet metal that comes in. And this is where it all starts.
Now you said we were lucky because we had a truck here. How often does the truck come here and unload?
Oh, I'd say we get 2 to 3 trucks in every day with different kinds of steel. We use up a lot of steel every day.
Where do they come from?
The trucks come out of service centers in Cedar Rapids and Marshalltown, and the steel originates in Chicago, but it comes from all over the place.
And then they leave here empty.
Yes, well, or they go on to other customers that want steel that's on the truck.
Okay.
We do use millions of dollars worth of stainless steel every year in our products, so we do have quite a volume of stainless steel that comes into the plant.
And like I said, we're going to see firsthand the operation. What are we going to, we're going to move on down the line, and then what will we see there?
First thing we're going to look at is our vertical machining center where we make our dryer tumbler housings.
Okay, let's go. There's a lot of equipment here, and I have no idea what we're looking at, and probably a lot of our people out there watching don't either. This is the first station we're going to see, and what is it, and what's he doing?
Okay, this is our vertical machining center. What he's doing is he's machining our dryer tumbler housings. This machine we've had for about 4 years now, and it took the place of 2 to 3 machines, and it does the work of those 2 to 3 machines. With the purchase of this machine, we realized a tremendous gain in quality of our product that we make on this cell. About a 50% gain in the quality improvement. What's interesting about this machine is we're holding tolerances that are very tight in terms of the hole size. The total range or room for error that we have in the hole size is in the area of 5/10,000ths of an inch, which is the equivalent of 1/5 the thickness of a piece of paper. So it's very tight tolerances, and there's a reason for that Jim can explain.
Okay, Jim.
All of our washers and dryers are dependent upon ball bearings to support them when they turn and rotate at the high speed some of them run. And because of that, we have to have these extremely tight tolerances, not only on these bearing housings that he's working on here, but also on the shafts that go inside of those bearing housings in order to promote that long life that Pat told you about earlier. So those tight tolerances are basically the life and death of our machines that we maintain them.
And one person operates this?
One person operates this machine, and as you can see, he has several different functions. He works on the machine and loads it, and then he does a couple other operations while the machine's running. So it helps to utilize his efforts a lot better than if he were just standing and waiting.
What about the learning curve for you learning to use this?
With these machines, this is a Haas machine, and we send people off to training sessions up in Cedar Rapids. Haas has been good to us in that respect, that they've been happy to train people. It's all free. But it does take a couple of months to learn how to operate this machine because of the computer control on it. It's not just a matter of punching a button. You need to know what you're looking at on the screen as well.
So one person runs this. What if he's sick sometime? Do you have anyone else, or you have to wait for him?
No, we have backups trained in the event that someone is off on vacation. We have to fill in for vacations and sick time and other different absences. So we've got people trained as backups.
And every day he's here working on this.
Yes, every day. Lately we've been working 9 hours a day. The last 3 months out of the last 36 months we've worked 8-hour days, but the other 33 months we've been on overtime. 9-hour days, 5:30 to 3. So these guys work hard every day, and they've got to know what they're doing, and they do a great job at it.
I can see that. It's a very important job in the process here at Dexter.
And with all of this computer-operated machinery such as this one, the setup time is so much quicker than what we had with all the old-style machinery. So they can set this machine up in just a matter of minutes compared to hours on an older-style machine, which saves a lot of time and promotes for a lot of efficiency in operating the equipment through various jobs that it might run at different times.
Okay, well, let's go and take a look at the next stop. We're at a next stop, and this is like a maze in here. There's something going on everywhere. Do we need to let this person go through? Yeah. Okay, while the camera is moving in on this next station, we'll let someone go through here. We don't want to stop progress. I'm not sure what these are, but they must be very important. And they're actually coming to the station that we're going to take a look at. So, Jim, I just said we were having a delivery here. What are these?
These are blank, round pieces of material that will be put into this 750-ton press and formed into the formed back that you see over to the left in the basket.
Now, they must be fairly heavy if they're being delivered here with a forklift.
Yes, they are. Doug, do you have any idea what each one of these would weigh?
I would say that each one of these parts weighs probably about 8 pounds, but you've got roughly 100 parts on that skid right there.
You know, he's doing something with that roller.
That's lubrication to help in the forming process. When the die comes down on the part, that helps to keep it from catching on the metal. It actually lubricates it so it'll flow through the die better.
Anytime you're performing a drawing operation like this, you have to have lubrication so that the part can stretch without grabbing on the metal or on the die.
Oh, so I see it's going in there flat and it's coming out a different shape.
Like a Chinese hat.
Yeah, our cameraman's getting that for you. So this is just one step.
Yes. Well, this is actually the final fabrication operation for this part. After this, it's the part is washed and then it's polished and it's ready for assembly. This will be the cylinder back for the back of our 25 and 40-pound washer cylinders.
Now this piece of equipment here, is this new, old?
This is our largest press, and it's about 3 years old. This is a hydraulic press. Actually, this press utilizes 110 gallons of hydraulic fluid, a lot more than you might have when the power brakes on your car. And because of the size of this press, it was assembled in the plant on site. They took it apart at the factory, brought it in here, and put it back together. In fact, each of the large side pieces of the press weighed 30-some thousand pounds, and each side came in on a semi by itself.
Wow. I can't imagine what something like this would cost. I don't know if you do.
These presses typically run in the range of about $1,000 a ton. However, this press here is a hydraulic press, was about $500,000 for this press.
So that's a real investment, but I'm sure with the quality and everything, you have to have it, it's worth it.
In order for us to produce larger washers and then continue to produce larger washers and dryers in the future, we needed a press like this to handle the bigger parts, the thicker metal that came with getting into larger production.
So, let's move to the next station. The machine behind us is a very high-tech, interesting, complicated machine that is capable of producing something like this.
Yes, this is our Bystronic 3,000 watt laser, and basically what it boils down to is anything that you can draw on a piece of paper you can reproduce with steel. And you can see the intricacies of this piece, how the birds and the deer and how real it all looks, and that was just from a drawing. It has a capability of etching part numbers or text onto steel, but then again it also has a capability of cutting material that's up to 1/2 inch thick, so it's a very versatile piece of equipment.
Now, this is done on a computer, the design, and then somehow it's in the machine.
We use CAD for all of our drawings of all of the different parts that we engineer and design in the engineering department, and they take the CAD program from that drawing, send it down here to the machine, and then they can recreate that part. It's somewhat interesting. The very first day we started this machine, we ended up with a need for a part that we didn't have any other way of producing, and that very first day we were able to make a part that we needed badly without having to wait for expensive tooling to be purchased.
That's amazing. So what are they going to be doing? They put in a piece of aluminum metal.
Well, right now we run stainless steel across this machine, and it's strictly stainless steel at this time. The reason for that is that stainless steel is very expensive, and we've got a lot of appearance parts that are made out of stainless steel, and you don't want to have any scratches on it. And the laser will produce the parts without scratches. It will produce the parts with very little or no burrs or rework that's required to take the sharp edges off. And also the laser is about 50% faster than our traditional turret punch presses that we used to make these parts on. So it's been a great machine for us.
Just as an example, it has the capability of producing 4 1/4 inch holes in 1 second, which is extremely fast for a machine that has no tooling required to set it up and to run a part.
Now, is this actually working on more than one part to a washer?
Well, right now you're seeing it produce, you're getting 4 of the same part out of one sheet. We do have lots of applications where we'll make 3 and 4 different parts out of the same sheet in a multiple of 3 or 4, but it can produce as many different parts and in many different quantities, combinations as you'd like, just depending on how you do the nesting.
One of the nice things about the flexibility is 1 month we may produce one combination of parts on a particular sheet of steel. The next month we might have a different combination of parts on that sheet of steel. So depending on what the needs are for production, you can vary what each sheet produces at any one run.
So how long does it take to change what you're putting in there for it to do?
It's really a matter of seconds to download the program and be ready to run something different.
Wow. You can see on the camera how quickly this laser is moving. I mean, it's coming very close to that edge. And circling around here is amazing.
Very little waste. We have very little waste from this laser. You can see how close it gets to the edge of the material. When this is all done, the parts will come out, and all you've got is a very thin webbing that's thrown away as scrap. So it's efficient in that regard.
What happens to the waste then? Where does it go?
The waste goes into a dumpster, and then we have someone from Oskaloosa that comes in and picks it up for us.
So this is an awesome piece of equipment here.
Probably this will not be the last laser we have in this company. I would assume as things go forward and we grow, we're going to have the need for additional lasers in the future.
And as they said earlier, this is truly cutting-edge technology and pretty much our first venture into it. And I think it's safe to say that everyone here at this company has been very excited about this machine and what it can do for us and what it has done.
And once again, it's taking one person to operate it.
Right, one person to operate it. There's a press brake that's with this machine as well, but one person can operate this fine. This person has to go through a substantial amount of training. There's a lot to know about this machine in terms of the laser head that you see and getting all your beam alignments correct. So it's not just a matter of pushing a button again.
Technology, progress, it's all amazing, and we're seeing a lot of it here at Dexter. We'll move to the next station. This is obviously a safety precaution here.
Yeah. This is a weld curtain. You have to have this hanging around every weld station. You don't want anybody to walk by and get the weld flash to burn their eyes. It can be very dangerous.
What's going on behind there?
Behind us we got our robotic welding cell, and this is a 3-station robotic welder. What this allows us to do is it allows us to have one station welding a sub-assembly or an assembly while the other 2 stations are being loaded or unloaded. Or there could be the same sub-assembly welded in all 3 stations.
The Robot was our first venue of high technology probably several years ago, and you know, it was here ahead of some of the other machines that we've already seen. But it's something that's always kind of exciting to people because everyone always hears about robots in the automotive industry and other kinds of assemblies like that. But welding that comes off of the Robot is actually very consistent, as you would expect, and of course the Robot never gets sick, so you know, it's a nice touch to have.
Sounds great. Wish I had one.
Pardon?
Wish I had one at home to do what I want.
The other thing we've got back here is we have a base for our second largest washer. It's our 55-pound washer base. And as you can look at it, this is a very substantial base. This base alone weighs 400 pounds. Now, compare that to the weight of a home washer. The total washer at home itself would weigh only about 250 pounds. So the comment was made earlier about our machines being built like a battleship, and looking at this base, you can definitely see why that's the case.
One of the things we do in engineering as a test when we develop any new product, and this would be one of the ones that underwent that test, would be we take a full machine and we put it into a cell and bolt it down, and then we take, for instance, with a 55-pound machine, we take 27.5 pounds of lead, put it in the machine, accelerate it to the highest speed, and we let it run for 1,000 hours with the expectation that we need to have it not break within that 1,000 hours. And this off-center load test that we do is more severe than what anyone else in the industry does. So we're kind of proud of our reputation for building strong, very conservative designs of product that last a long time.
I think you're accomplishing that goal. Let's move on. Our next stop is we're getting some white to this piece of equipment.
This is our powder coating booth for powder coating our dryer cabinets. We don't use liquid paint as we did in the old days. We use all powder coat, and the powder is basically the consistency of talcum powder and is electrostatically attracted to the cabinet, and that keeps it in place until they can take it out of the cabinet and run it through the oven where it's heated to 350 to 400 degrees. It liquefies it, and then it forms a bonded coating for the dryer.
So it is baked on.
It is actually baked on. It has to melt the powder and let it form together as a one continuous coating at that point. The powder coating is a lot more durable than the liquid coat paint we used to use. It's more durable when we do a salt spray test, when we do a humidity test, or when we do detergent resistant test. It has about 10 times the durability of our old liquid paints.
Now it seems like the powder is staying contained within this little area.
We reclaim powder so that it doesn't get out within the plant. There's electrostatic charges that draw it on to the actual product, and then there's also filters and vacuum that keep a negative atmosphere in there so that it doesn't flow out into the surrounding area.
Okay, now I know our cameraman's being very careful with the camera, but this thing over here, the other day I got to put my finger in there and show. Can we do that again? We'll have our cameraman come closer.
Now this is our paint hopper, where our paint has air circulating through it. It liquefies the paint to some extent, and as much as it can be since it's dry. But
so the other day somebody opened it for me. Can you do that?
sure.
Now you have to, I don't know if you can see in there, but it is like bubbling like a liquid.
Yeah.
And if you go like that, it's powder. So that's really amazing how it's doing that, and it's being stirred constantly, kept in motion.
One of the things we do a little differently than some of our competitors, we use the finished color coat, the white in this case, on all the exterior and interior surfaces of the dryer cabinet. Not every competitor that we have in the industry does that. So you have just as nice a finish on the inside of the machine as you do on the outside of the machine, and it also makes the inside of the machine nice and smooth and slick so that lint and things like that don't stick to it as easily.
That's nice.
And painting these cabinets may look easy, but this is a kind of an art form. You need to be able to put paint on there at a constant thickness throughout the whole outside of the cabinet, on the inside of the cabinet. They have to maintain a constant thickness. So it's an art form, really. It's a skilled trade.
Do you know how many he can do a day?
That's in the neighborhood of about 25 a day.
Along with the painting process, over here we have a number of wash baths where we have about 6 different baths that wash, rinse, and pre-coat the material before it goes into the paint booth to help it support the paint process better than if you just put raw material in there that hadn't been treated.
Well, they're looking nice coming off, and they're hooked on this assembly track here. And where do they go from here?
Okay. We can take a look at a cabinet that's a product that's been painted and see what it looks like after the paint's been baked.
Okay. And here they are. They've been baked.
Yes, these are our cabinets after they've been through our bake oven, and you can see it's got a very nice orange peel texture. It's a very classy looking cabinet, a good quality part.
Very nice. These are huge.
Yes, all of our dryers compared to one you would have in your home appear to be rather large. They all are in the neighborhood of 6 feet tall. Some of them go up to a capacity of 80 pounds of load size. So that's pretty large compared to maybe a 15-pound dryer you might have in the home. These are up to 5 times as large as what you'd see in your home usage. It's
looking like a refrigerator size.
Well, this is our smallest dryer cabinet right here. This is our 30-pound dryer cabinet. As Jim mentioned, we also have a 55 and an 80-pound single pocket dryer. And we have a stack dryer, which is 2 30-pound pockets on top of each other. In addition to that, we have a 30-pound single pocket dryer that we stack on top of our washer or on top of someone else's washer. All told, we've got, I believe it's nearly 300 models that we offer in our dryers alone. And in addition to that, and this is for the plant-wide, we've got 4,000 parts that we manufacture here for use in our assemblies or in our products, as well as there's 6,000 vendor parts that we purchase from our suppliers to use for assembly. So there's a lot of part numbers for these guys to keep track of. Kind of dizzy.
That's very impressive.
Just to put a little bit in perspective, an 80-pound dryer has a BTU input of 215,000 BTUs. Now, if you think in terms of the furnace that might go in your home, it might be 60 to 70 to 80,000 BTUs. So the heat capacity of one of our large 80-pound dryers is more than twice what most people's furnace is.
Wow. Let's walk down this way, and what are we seeing here? I'm seeing lots of colored wire. This looks like the insides of something.
This is really starting down our assembly line, and we're walking down the assembly line in the order of assembly of the various parts. They start with a cabinet at the front end of the line here, and they start to do some of the wiring that initially would go into the machine. On the back side of the dryer, they attach a motor, and it's really assembled as they roll the cabinet down the line toward the other end.
On our day shift assembly line, we've got 10 people that work on the assembly line, and they move from one conveyor to the other depending on what product's being built. Right now they're building their 30-pound single pocket dryers, but the same crew of people move from one line to the other depending on what the orders are for that particular month.
Now, somewhere around here the other day when we were taking a quick little tour to get an idea what we were going to see, there was something that was built up, that had to be built up above ground.
That from the washer line.
And are we going to see that pretty soon?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll keep going here. It was just something interesting, I remember.
The next thing we're going to see will be the inspection area. At the end of our assembly line, every dryer is moved into an inspection area where we run every single machine. Our dryers are approved by the American Gas Association, and they carry that insignia on the back. It's similar to a UL approval on an electrical device. And the American Gas Association approval requires that you submit a machine for test, and it goes to their lab and they test the product. Then after that, we have unannounced visits throughout the year where they will come in and inspect the machine to make sure that we're assembling it as we agreed to do it when it was originally tested. And that means if we want to change an electrical component during the year, we need to reissue that approval with them and get a renewed approval based upon that change. So what it means to the customer is they have continuity of product. They don't buy a machine one day and have it look like one thing. They don't buy it a month later and have a different group of components making up that dryer. They have more continuity of that product design.
Okay. We're looking at several individuals here, and what are they doing?
Well, this is the front of our washer assembly line. We've got 18-pound, 25, 40, 55, and 75-pound washers that we make here. Right today they're building our 18-pound washer, our smallest washer. You heard it mentioned earlier in the Rotary lunch that the Parkview Nursing Home has a washer out there, an 18-pounder they've had for 12 years, and it's run 61,000 cycles. And compared to a home laundry, Parkview used to own home laundry washers, and they would have to replace them every 4 to 6 months. So now they're quite a bit better off with this 18-pound washer.
So now they're taking all these parts that you've manufactured and come up with and putting them all together.
And again, this is a lot like our dryer assembly line. We start at the beginning and they place it up on the roller conveyor. They assemble all the parts and work as they go down the line. And what you see here on the front of the line is an example of some of these machine parts that we saw earlier up in the press shop and the machine shop area where they have the high tolerances going together. And if these gentlemen right here don't do their job correctly, why, that's the biggest problem we could get into, because they do a very sophisticated work here of assembling the seals and the bearing area of the machine. And the seals are, again, one of the more important parts to keep water out of the bearings and whatnot. So what these gentlemen do is very, very important.
And I can see where everything, every step, every process is very important. Every single job. I'm glad my husband isn't putting this together. It's like one of those things you get with 100 pieces.
Yeah, this is a pretty complicated machine to put together. Right now we've got a couple of individuals that have been here for, Steve Petersma has been here for 27 years, and Jim Coffin in the black shirt has been here for 16 years. And both of these guys have seen our washer mix grow from basically one product with 2 different models up to today we have 13 product lines and 100 models. And this doesn't happen without having some very, very good people and some longevity and some people that stick around. And that's what these guys have done for us. They do a tremendous job.
Very dedicated. That's nice to have in our community.
And as you might imagine, when you have that many different models, there's lots of difference and subtle things such as the wiring and the controls of the machine. And to be able to produce several different models in one day requires people who have a real strong grasp on what they're doing and are really dedicated to that job.
And now we're ready for the testing.
Yes, this is where we test all of our washers. They all run through a complete cycle to check for function and safety and verify all those things are in place. And then on the other side here is where we have our final packaging or our finished crating of our washers. And you can see all of them have stainless steel panels, and they all have this protective plastic coating on there. That's to keep the stainless steel from getting any scratches till it gets out in the field. And once it gets to the field and it's installed, then the plastic will be removed.
Washers are similar to dryers in that they are approved by an approval agency. In this case, it's usually the underwriter's laboratory that most people are familiar with. And again, they require us to run through one complete cycle. If we find any error in that cycle, we repair it and we run it through another cycle. And again, they make unannounced inspections during the year to verify that we're doing what we say we would be doing. And that's one of the things that ensures continuous quality on the product.
How many of these are coming through the assembly line a day?
On our washer line, we average anywhere between 30 to 40 to 60 washers a day over 2 shifts.
That's remarkable. And did we see the big area where they're all stacked up back here? There are a lot of machines here. This is a warehouse.
Yes, this is our finished goods warehouse. This is where we keep all of our equipment for sale, and it ships out the doors on the east end of the building. Every product that we manufacture is back here at this time.
Do you know how many are here?
I don't know how many are here. Doug, do you have any idea?
I'd say there's roughly 1,500 machines in the warehouse right now.
And are they leaving every day?
Yeah, we produce and ship roughly 100 machines every day.
One thing you'll notice, all of our packaging is stretch wrap plastic. In the old days, we used cardboard cartons, and when it got to the end location of a laundromat, it was just a mess for them to dispose of all the cardboard, whereas today with just stretch wrap to dispose of, why it's much more convenient and less filling for the landfill. So.
And that protects the machine.
Well, the theory is, and this seems to hold true, is when you have a product going into a truck and handled by various people and they can see the product, it is less likely to be damaged than if it's hidden behind cardboard where they can't see what's there.
I understand. Oh, this is very impressive once again to see all of these wash machine dryers stacked up here in Fairfield, Iowa at Dexter. Coming through the plant, you're going to see all the process. It's totally amazing. I'm really appreciative that you're here in Fairfield.
Well, thank you for coming to visit us, Susan. We enjoy showing it to you and to everyone else that has a chance to see it today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we've got all these stacked up. How do you know where they're going to go, and who figures that out?
The sales department, including Kathy Jevock, who does a lot of the scheduling of shipments out, they communicate with the end customers, our distributor base, and they're the ones that put together the truckloads and decide when they need to be shipped and keep that all in order. And they do a remarkable job of not mis-shipping machines to the wrong place.
And I suppose you'd want to talk to Mr. Andy Kretz, Director of Marketing, to find out about more of that.
I think that's what we'll do. We are in the Dexter showroom. Andy Kretz and Kathy Jevock. So we've taken a tour of the plant. We've seen everything being put together. We're out here with a finished product. But what do you do with it then?
Our finished products go into commercial laundries of all types, coin-operated laundries, also on-premise laundries. Really, our products are used for any item that needs to be laundered, whether it's towels, sheets, linens, and then, of course, the coin-operated laundry for your day-to-day clothes.
But how do you get it to those people?
That's an answer probably best by Kathy.
We do sell our products through authorized Dexter distributors that we have located nationwide and worldwide also. We do export a lot of our products overseas. We have approximately 100 distributors in the United States, Canada, and Alaska and things. So that's how we distribute our products, is through them.
And that's what your job is. You make contacts. You're here working hard.
Yes. I seem to be on the phone a lot. So I do work with the distributors, and we do get a lot of end users calling in, asking about our products and things. But yes.
And are you out there marketing and selling?
Yeah, I act as the director of sales and marketing. So we've got responsibility really for that distribution network, who we sell to, who we don't sell to, and then all the marketing things too. Our website, our sales literature, our trade shows, any branding that we do at the Dexter Company and be responsible for.
Okay. So we have someone wanting to come in the front door, but I guess he'll wait. Sorry about that. Anything else you'd like to add about marketing these? You have a wonderful laundromat downtown, kind of state-of-the-art here in Fairfield.
Yes, we do. We actually wanted to build a state-of-the-art laundry here so that the local community could take care of their laundry needs. Also, we wanted a show store, really show the local community what we do here at Dexter. And then also, we wanted to use a local facility as an engineering lab too, so we could test some of our latest and greatest products and also get consumer feedback from things they like and don't like.
So if you're out there and you have a very large load of laundry and you want to get done fast, and I know I've done that myself, taken something large, a large piece of
rugs.
Yeah,
that always works good.
Yeah, taking it down there and giving it a try, and it's manufactured here in Fairfield at the Dexter Company. And I guess we'll close out our show, and thank you, Andy and Kathy, for sharing with us and having a tour for the Dexter Company with the Rotary Club today and opening up to the community. We're very happy that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. Come back soon.
Thank you.